name is Elizabeth Krangle, and I'm president of the UB Law Alumni Association this year. I'm also a partner at Duke Holzman, and it's my honor and pleasure to welcome all of you here in person tonight. We're so happy to be celebrating with you in this fantastic space. To start us off, I'd like to introduce you to the head table and our honorees. Starting at my far left, my dear friend and just overall wonderful person, Ann Joint. Ann is a graduate of the class of 2005. She's a partner at the law firm of Lipsitz, Pontario, and Comerford, and she is this year's recipient of the Award for Community Service. Seated next to her is the Honorable Kathy J. King, class of 1984. She's a New York State Supreme Court Justice in New York County and recipient of this year's Award for the Judiciary. To her right, we have Honorable Elizabeth A. Wolford, Chief Judge, United States District Court. She is the recipient of this year's Non-Alumna Award. We won't hold it against you that you didn't go to your meeting. To her right, we have Dr. A. Scott Weber, Provost and Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs at the University of Buffalo. We're happy to have you. Thank you for joining us. Next, we have a woman who needs no introduction, Dean Aviva Abramowski. Michael Hecker, class of 2009. Mike is a partner at the law firm of Hodgson Russ and is president-elect of the Law Alumni Association. His term will start in July. To my immediate left, we have Diane M. Perry Roberts, class of 1990. She's a senior partner at Lipsitz, Green, Chimay, and Cambria, and co-chair of this evening's annual dinner committee. To my right is Robert Riccado, class of 1990, senior appellate counsel at Counsel Press, and the other co-chair of the annual dinner committee. I like to call Rob the Kevin Bacon of the Buffalo legal community because he knows everybody by like 2 degrees of separation, so great to have you, Rob. To Rob's right, we have the Honorable Shelley B. Mayer, class of 1979. She is New York State Senator for the 37th District and recipient of this year's Award for Public Service. Congratulations. To her right is Mark A. Alpert, class of 1986, Senior Vice President, General Counsel, and Corporate Secretary of Lowe's Corporation. And he is this year's recipient of the Award for Business. Congratulations. To his right is James W. Grable Jr., class of 1996. He's a partner at Connors LLP and recipient of this year's Award for Private Practice. And another woman who really needs no introduction to this room is Eileen Fleischman, Vice Dean for Alumni and Executive Director of the Law Alumni Association. All right, Dean Eileen, I'm gonna go off script here. I saw your eyes widen. Trust me, it's gonna be fine. It's all good. For those of you who may not know, Dean Eileen has been the Law Alumni Association's Executive Director for 38 years. And we want to take a minute to recognize her for her tireless support of our organization, for her service to our law alumni community and to the law school. organization in the law school with diligence, humor, class, and pizzazz, and a whole lot of honesty. She told me today she's a little too honest. Alumna Kate Faraletto said it best when she said, when you think of UB Law, you think of Dean Eileen. It's so true. Your contributions are too many to name here, but you've been an integral part of fostering alumni engagement, leading our oral history project for many years, and orchestrating so many, many, many events, including visits by 2 U.S. Supreme Court justices. And we recognize that this incredible evening, which we've all known to come and love every year, the Diamond Jubilee of our alumni annual awards reception, is the great success that it is because of your attention to detail, your coordination and oversight of so many, many moving parts. So it took a lot of work to sneak this past you. Eileen circulated the timed agenda and we had to weave this in somewhere. If you take a look in your programs, there is an insert tribute to Eileen, which I don't know if we snuck it past her entirely. So we are going to deeply miss your imprint on this event, on the Law Alumni Association as well, as you transition out of your role as our executive director at the end of this fiscal year. We have a token of appreciation and extend our sincere gratitude to you on behalf of our entire Law Alumni family. Where is that token of appreciation? Over here. I'd like to thank everyone in this room, all of our alumni, friends, and supporters for being with us here tonight. The support that you give enables us to provide tuition scholarships and public interest summer fellowships to the law students. Each year we designate Law Alumni Association scholars and a Gold Group Scholar, graduates of the last decade. We also provide law students with career advice, mentoring, and network connections, and jobs. We help recruit prospective students, participate on admissions and career panels, judge moot court competitions, just to name a few ways of the many that the Law Alumni Association makes a difference in the lives of our students. Our member benefits include free or discounted admission to our social and networking events, free New York State CLE, free remote access to online databases, including Hein Online through our alumni portal. I encourage you to become a lifetime member. A lot of you are asking, oh, what's the little star on your name tag? That's to designate who in the room has become a lifetime member. It's currently a steal at $1,200. It's gone up since I got mine about 8 years ago, but I've never gotten an invoice since I got my lifetime membership, and I can attest that that's a pretty great benefit in and of itself. We gratefully acknowledge our underwriters who help make this dinner possible, especially our 2 presenting sponsors, Lowe's Corporation and the law firm of Paul, Weiss, Rifkin, Wharton, and Garrison, LLP. Our sponsors' names are listed on the PowerPoint that will play throughout the dinner, on the many signs displayed in the foyer and in the ballroom, and printed in our dinner program. All proceeds from this event support the work of the Law Alumni Association by advancing our mission of serving the law alumni community and the law school. Without the generosity of our sponsors, we would not be able to provide our law students with scholarships and support, and could not offer our members the many social, educational, and networking programs throughout the year, both in Western New York and at our various regional chapter locations. Thank you for your support. Next, I would like to turn it over to Dean Aviva Abramofsky. She is the law school's 19th permanent dean and the first woman to hold the position. She has been at the helm of the law school for the last 5 years, over which time she has survived a pandemic, overseen the expansion of the law school's offerings beyond its JD and LLM programs. The law school now offers a growing undergraduate program in law, which is one of only 2 in the nation. It also offers multiple 3+3 programs and a new Doctor of Juridical Science. Under her leadership, the law school's clinical legal education program has expanded to include the launch of a criminal justice advocacy clinic and the community engagement legal clinic. The law school's Innocence and Justice Project has just been revitalized through the Advocacy Institute, and the law school has implemented a series of new diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, including the creation of a faculty-led DEI committee, and has expanded its student services and programming with particular focus on mental health and wellness. Dean Abramofsky is an expert in insurance law, commercial law, regulation of financial entities, and legal ethics. She's a past chair and executive board member of the insurance law section of the American Association of Law Schools. She currently serves on the board of directors for the Erie County Bar Foundation. Prior to her appointment as dean, she was the Kaufman Professor of Entrepreneurship and Innovation and an associate dean at Syracuse University College of Law, where she led the school's internationalization efforts. Please join me in welcoming Dean Aviva Abramofsky.
You know, Liz Krangle always says the nicest things about me. And I gotta say, it's always a pleasure to hear them. This evening's event is, of course, my favorite of the year, the Law Alumni Association dinner, our Diamond Jubilee. I look out, I see friends, and I recognize this dais as representing UB Law's excellence. Thank you to the Law Alumni Association for hosting this beautiful event to celebrate our distinguished award recipients. I am honored to be seated here amongst you. I am honored, as always, to be the dean of this law school. Tonight's honorees are all outstanding leaders in our community and within their areas of expertise. Their spirit of excellence exemplifies the quality of all UB Law graduates, and they continue to inspire many students who are in this room, as well as other lawyers, in their honor. I am truly humbled by this slate. Their accomplishments demonstrate the tenacity of our alumni, who are determined to be extraordinary and to make a difference in this world. Congratulations to our distinguished alums, and of course, our honorary alum, Judge Elizabeth Wolford. Tonight's event is also a celebration of the strong and long-standing partnership between the law school and the Law Alumni Association. And I'm proud and grateful of that partnership. It's very fitting that tonight is the association's Diamond Jubilee, because the association has been a true gem of this law school for many decades now. Thank you to Law Alumni Association President Liz Krangle, Gold Group President Sam Alba, and the Law Alumni Association and Gold Group Boards of Directors for your leadership, for your friendship. I know that every year brings new challenges, but through it all, you have remained steady and steadfast in your support, your commitment to the law school, its students, and I thank you for that, and I thank all of you who are here tonight. I think we would agree that we are here tonight for one reason, because we all believe in the power of a law degree and in this specific institution and its mission, and we are committed to preserving the tradition of legal education in a world that certainly needs it. A tradition that may start with the law school, but is amplified by the work of our graduates and this Law Alumni Association. At the law school, we prepare our students to be practice ready. Our Alumni Association and many of you who volunteer here, who have worked with me and have worked with the students, provide them with the guidance outside of the classroom that they need, the mentoring that they seek, the inspiration that leads them on. I see so many friends in this audience here today, and I know that you will continue to do that for every year's worth of students that come in. At the law school, we strive to cultivate leaders in law through our innovative curriculum, and that association carries it forward with the CLEs. I happen to have attended quite a few recently, and they are fabulous. If you haven't been, go. And at the law school, we teach the importance of strong advocacy. Our alumni judge court competitions and coach trial teams. They continue to win awards, and they continue to train that necessary next generation of legal advocates. At the law school, we center everything we do around our commitment to access to justice, and I thank you in this association for sharing that commitment, provide externships at nonprofit agencies, contribute to scholarships and summer fellowships, partner with our clinics to provide legal services, and most importantly, continue to keep the doors of legal education open to all, because we are New York State's public flagship law school. This community is strong, it continues to work together, and I have no doubt that it will continue to go forward leading in New York, and I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity to continue to be here with you on that journey. I'd like now to simply thank all of our UB alumni, including tonight's honorees. You continue to shape and educate the legal community, both here and across the nation, through your guidance, your excellence in private practice, the judiciary, public service, community service, business, and more. The future of our profession is bright because of the leadership in this room and on this dais, and I am so grateful. Thank you again. Please enjoy the evening, and I will be available after dinner.
Thank you, Dean. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. A. Scott Weber, Provost and Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs at UB, which is a position he's held since January of 2020. As the university's second ranking officer, he's responsible for overseeing all academic support programs and all academics. Dr. Weber has spent more than 30 years enabling faculty to deliver impactful research and education and providing UB students with the academic program support and resources they need to thrive at the university and beyond. Previously, he served as the Senior Vice Provost for Academic Affairs, where he provided leadership for undergraduate and graduate education, academic support services, transformative extracurricular programs, and centralized enrollment services. He led efforts to ensure that students have a transformative educational experience with opportunities to engage in truly distinctive research, creative, and public service activities that are hallmarks of a top-tier university education. Dr. Weber was also instrumental in the creation of the UB curriculum and the university's nationally recognized Finish in 4 program. Provost?
Well, first of all, it's really nice to see everybody, and thank you so much for that nice introduction. I'm sorry I didn't see you earlier. I would have shortened it quite a bit, but I do appreciate it. So good evening, and on behalf of the University of Buffalo, President Tripathi, and our wonderful School of Law, thank you for attending tonight's dinner and your continued support of UB and the school. I am so very pleased to be here to recognize the achievements of some of our most notable alumni and supporters of the school. I've been here a long time, as you heard in the introduction. I don't think it's ever been a better time to be at the University of Buffalo. As you likely know, last year, Kathy Hochul, Governor of New York State, recognized UB as a flagship university of the SUNY system, the recognized leader in New York State higher education. And while we've always thought of ourselves as a flagship university, and the Washington Post did as well, the official designation has been welcomed. And I think it provides a platform for the university to really thrive. And our ambition, as articulated by President Tripathi, to be recognized among the very best, the top 25 public research universities in the nation, continues to gain momentum. We are enacting strategies to achieve greater societal impact, provide students with innovative educational experiences, and build upon UB's culture of equity and inclusion, and to deepen engagement in the region. The UB School of Law has been and continues to be critical to this ambition. To support our top 25 ambition, UB must recruit and retain top scholars from across many disciplines. It is the heart of any university, our faculty. To that end, this year UB launched a major faculty recruitment initiative. We are focused on hiring in key areas with high societal impact, including democracy and society. I don't think that's ever been more important. Human health, sustainability, and transformational technology. And for all of those of you who are watching AI, I think you know that's where we're headed. This hiring is being supported in part by the significant state investment initiated and supported by Governor Hochul, elected officials, some of whom we honor tonight, and further championed by our new SUNY Chancellor, John B. King. UB Law faculty, who are internationally recognized for their legal training and groundbreaking interdisciplinary scholarship with important implications for policy and practice worldwide, are critical to our ambitions for greater impact. And UB Law students, who are exposed to transformative educational opportunities, including UB's world-class clinics and practicum courses, continue to have high impact on our community while providing students with critical experiential learning opportunities. Clearly, the school greatly benefits from the extensive collaborations and support from the regional legal community, which is represented so wonderfully here tonight. Thank you all so much for that. How about a round of applause for all of you? I did pick up that this is a group that likes to applaud, so I thought I'd throw one in. So as we gather tonight to recognize and celebrate the wonderful accomplishments of our honorees, thank you all for your continued support of the university and the School of Law. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Provost. I'd like to extend our appreciation next to our annual dinner committee co-chairs, Rob Ricardo and Diane Perry-Roberts, and the work of their committee members, Elise Kassar, Matt Feldman, Mike Hecker, Patrick Levy, James O'Keefe, and Mickey Ryan. You've made this the most successful annual dinner in the 60 years it's been happening, and we can't thank you enough for all of your hard work. Thank you. There's also no way this event would happen without the tireless work of Dean Eileen, Amy Hypnerowski, Lisa Mueller, and Stephanie Mack. Thank you so much. All right, at this time, I would ask that all the officers and current directors of the Law Alumni Association and the Gold Group please stand up and be recognized. Thank you so much for lending your time and talent to the Law Alumni Association and law school communities. As our new year will start in July, we will be welcoming 7 new Law Alumni Association directors. As I read your name, please stand. Scott Bizup, class of 2006, Vincent Miranda, class of 2010, Megan Brown, class of 2006, Bethany Solik, class of 04, Daniel Altieri, class of 09, Adam Brasky, class of 14, and Andrea DeLulio, class of 15. Thank you in advance for your service, and I know a lot of you are not strangers to the law alumni community. Andrea DeLulio, especially, be like Andrea, she's already a lifetime member. Woo! Thanks, Andrea. I'd also like to recognize our incoming Gold Group directors, Ariana Hart, class of 20, and Brianna Krausik, class of 21. I'd also like to congratulate, on behalf of the Law Alumni Association, The members of the class of 1963 who are celebrating their 60-year reunion this year, and the class of 73 who is celebrating their 50th. A full list of names is in the program, and they will all receive certificates of appreciation for their longtime service to the profession. We will be having our all-class alumni celebration at the Reichert House in Amherst on Saturday, October 14th, 2023. There will be an open bar and hors d'oeuvres from 6 to 8, highlighting not only this year's 50th and 25th class reunions, but it will also celebrate all those classes that end in either a 3 or an 8. Invitations will be going in the mail soon, but in the meantime, please mark your calendars and start spreading the word to your classmates. With that being said, we're going to break for dinner now, and we will pick up shortly with our president-elect, Mike Hecker, to resume the program after the break concludes. Thank you.
Tonight marks the Law Alumni Association's 60th Awards Dinner and Diamond Jubilee. Established by the Law Alumni Association's Board of Directors in 1963, the Distinguished Alumni Awards recognize the valuable contributions that the law school's alumni have made to the profession and the community. In our program booklet, we have provided you with a lengthy list of previous recipients. I welcome you to take a moment to take a look through, and I'm sure you'll recognize a number of the names sitting in this room even. Also in our program booklet are the acceptance remarks of tonight's honorees, along with their professional highlights. You should also take a moment to read that when you have a chance. Stories from our law school's history have become part of a treasure trove of information that have been compiled in an extensive oral history, which was a project that was initiated in the year 2000. The project, funded by the late Lauren D. Racklin, has recorded alumni, faculty members, and other distinguished members of the community with close ties to the law school, preserving their voices in posterity, and digitally indexing their words to provide easy access for the future. All 6 of our honorees have been interviewed as part of the Oral History Project, and tonight we'll feature a clip from each of their interviews as part of the awards presentation. We will now begin the awards portion of the evening to be presented by our co-chairs, Rob Ricardo and Diane Perry-Roberts. And with that, I'll turn it over to Diane. Thank you.
Being short, we'll have a little battle of the microphone height tonight, so don't mind that. Good evening, everybody. I'm just going to point out there are screens on either end here, and we'll briefly break for a video clip for each of the honorees as we make our remarks. So our first award is for the judiciary, and this is going to the Honorable Kathy J. King, class of 1984. It's my honor this evening to present the award for the judiciary to the Honorable Kathy J. King, a presiding medical malpractice judge in New York State Supreme Court in New York County. When interviewed for the Oral History Project, Justice King recalled how she was encouraged by her friends to pursue a judicial career.
As I said previously, I didn't have any mentors. However, I had really good friendships. And in those friendships, I had people who encouraged me to pursue a career on the bench. And I have to say, looking back now, those individuals saw in me what I did not see in myself. My friends would say to me, "You're a good writer. You have the temperament. You're fair. You're deliberative. You're analytical. And most of all, you're compassionate. You understand people." And I recognize that I had the skill set to be a good judge.
Justice King is a person who exhibits a multitude of skills and abilities. She's an excellent writer, as you just heard, she was complimented on. Her decisions are frequently published in the New York Official Reports and the New York Law Journal, including the groundbreaking decision in the matter of Jane Doe, an incapacitated person. She's an election law authority, having served as general counsel to the New York City Board of Elections. She's an advocate for women in the legal profession and at the United Nations. And she's a mentor, chairing the mentor team for Afghan judges. Her younger sister, Zuzel Shuva O'Gara, is the first to testify to Justice King's great generosity. When O'Gara, the founder of a dance company, was diagnosed with brain cancer in 2001, her sister was her greatest champion and supporter. And this is a quote. "She was the one that gave me my strength to continue with my life. And without her, I wouldn't be here today," O'Gara says. Justice King has a way of making friends and colleagues feel like a part of her extended family. Michelle Long and King were law school classmates who first became fast friends during their first year at UB Law. Justice King's parents are from Montserrat in the Caribbean. Long says the fact that they are both children of immigrants partially explains their strong bond. When she first met Justice King, Long says her friend had a fairly quiet demeanor. "I've seen her evolve," I think we see the change. "I've seen her evolve over the last 40 years into someone I never even imagined," she says of her friend. "These days, Justice King knows how to work a room," Long says, adding that Justice King has skillfully learned how to navigate New York politics. "That's a difficult set of skills. It's something I couldn't do," she says. Yadahara Gonzalez-Taylor, a civil court judge for Bronx County, credits King for being not only a friend but a professional mentor. Justice King gave Judge Gonzalez-Taylor a great deal of advice that smoothed out the bumps on her journey to the bench. She describes Justice King as calm, cool, and collected, accessible, and smart. "I think what makes her a great friend is the fact that she's willing to spend time mentoring others to follow in her footsteps," she says. Judge George Silver's chambers were adjacent to Justice King's when both sat on the bench in King's County Civil Court. Judge Silver, now retired, says he used to sing in his chambers, which attracted the attention of his neighboring judge. "I don't know if she liked the singing or disliked it, but we became friends at that point." When Judge Silver became the Deputy Chief Administrative Judge, he encouraged Justice King to take a new position in Manhattan, presiding over medical malpractice cases. "I always loved her abilities as a judge, her keen knowledge and respect for the law, and her kindness toward lawyers," he says. "The good thing is her personality on the bench, and off the bench it's the same thing," Judge Silver says. "She doesn't have that judge persona. She is who she is." From the bench, Judge Kathy J. King has changed countless lives for the better, and tonight we celebrate her career as we present her with the Distinguished Alumna Award for her conscientious and diligent performance in the judiciary. And I'd like Judge King to come up.
Thank you all this evening for this special recognition. It brings me great pride, and it is a great privilege. Good evening.
James Grable, a partner in the Buffalo office of Connors LLP. Is this year's recipient of our award for private practice. During his oral history interview, Jim talked about working alongside the giants of the Buffalo legal community.
The great thing about the Buffalo legal community is when you're in law school, you're meeting your heroes. The people who are your mentors are your heroes. And then you come out of law school and you work alongside your people who are your heroes. You look up to them, and all of a sudden you're in the well of a courtroom with them. you know, the Herb Greenmans, the Rod Personiuses, the Joel Daniels, the Terry Connors, these giants of the profession who you look at and you say, geez, I get to stand in the well of a courtroom alongside these people. And my contemporaries, Tim Hoover and Cheryl Myers Buth, and like these are people who, Brian Melber, these are lawyers who I look at, and Barry Covert, I say, these are people who I get to stand alongside them and advocate for somebody. They're the most talented people I've ever laid eyes upon, and they're great at what they do, and they have a passion for it, and they care about making a difference, and I get to do that too. And that's about as good as it gets.
What was Jim Grable's formula for developing into one of Western New York's premier trial lawyers? It's a story that is rooted in both nature and in nurture. Our honoree's father, Jim Grable Sr., is a UB Law alumnus and a longtime immigration lawyer. Jim Sr. Jim Sr. remembers stopping in to do research in the Law Library in O'Brien Hall when his two sons were young. The boys would be given yellow legal pads to scribble on, which they found to be quite entertaining. It was foreshadowing. Jim Jr. would become the editor-in-chief of the Buffalo Law Review. His younger brother, David, earned the identical honor at Cornell Law School. When Jim was a first-year UB Law student, his dad introduced him to the late Bob Murphy, the legendary Buffalo defense attorney. Working with Murphy was probably the biggest single force in making Jim the outstanding trial attorney that he is, Jim Sr. says. Murphy became a longtime mentor, one of several who shaped Jim's career. He also learned a great deal from Terry Connors of Connors LLP, where Jim is a partner. District Court Judges William Scretany and Lawrence Velardo were also key mentors. That's like being coached by an all-star team. One of young Jim's talents is unique in his family, an uncanny ability to recall names and faces. We could walk into a room of 500 people, Jim Sr. says, and Jim would walk up to anyone who he had ever met before and know their name. He still has that talent, and I'm very jealous. And I'm jealous too. It's a great talent. Jim has won several awards for his pro bono work. David Grable, who works as an attorney in Los Angeles, admires his brother's dedication to representing society's less fortunate. While being a fantastic partner at a top litigation boutique in Buffalo, David says, Jim continues to defend indigent clients, which is really admirable. Jim and his wife Laura have 4 children. Jim has always been a very committed father. David adds always making time for them and for their endeavors, while balancing a successful law practice. Jim was a frequent coach when his children played youth sports. He also is chairman of the Board of Trustees at St. Joseph Collegiate Institute, his alma mater. Tim Hoover, a fellow Buffalo attorney, says Jim has a rare combination of the ability to build relationships with clients and to think creatively in forming winning legal strategies. Jim can command the courtroom, be very persuasive, and is nimble on his feet, Hoover says. There are not many lawyers who combine all of those skills. Lawler Quinlan, a colleague at Connors, has worked with Jim for more than 20 years. He says Jim is hyper-focused when it comes to preparing himself for a case, learning all the facts and relevant law forward and backward. But one day, that focus went too far. They drove to Rochester together for a case in appellate court. Jim was going over every scenario in the case in his head as they pulled up to the court. He was totally in the game, Quinlan says. So much so that Jim got out of his truck and shut the door, leaving the truck running and the keys inside. Pressed for time, Jim sped into court, successfully argued his case, and then he returned outside and he crawled into the bed of the truck to open the window. all while still wearing a suit. In recognition of his perseverance, versatility, and clear commitment to the practice of law, we present the Distinguished Alumnus Award for Leadership by Example as a private practitioner to Jim Grable. Our next award is for public service, and it's being presented to the Honorable Shelley Mayer, class of 1979. We honor her as an alumna for her extraordinary commitment to public service. The Honorable Shelley Mayer is a New York State Senator in the 37th District in Westchester. In her oral history interview, Senator Mayer spoke about why she enjoys her role in politics.
I am a truly such a patriotic person. I believe that we have this enormous opportunity to make a difference. And secondly, I liked people. You know, I'm not afraid of people who disagree. I'm very comfortable dealing with people who have different opinions. And I was able to bring the experience of what I call the regular people who are not all involved in politics and they don't pay attention every day, but they know what they care about. And the vast majority of them, whatever party they're in or whatever ideology, they want the right things for their families and they want their parents to be cared for and they want their schools to be good. And I was always able to find common ground with enough people who didn't always agree with my views, but saw me as a legitimate person who really wanted to do their best. And I really credit UB for helping shape me to bring these things together, because it was a law school and it remains a law school that encourages those kinds of instincts to use law together with policy and politics, in my case, to make change.
Meeting Shelley Mayer was life-changing for a young man named Marcelo Figueroa, who grew up poor in Yonkers, New York. After winning the election, Assemblywoman Mayer hired Figueroa to work 3 days a week in her office. It was his introduction into politics, which he enjoyed, but Figueroa had to work another part-time job to make ends meet. After a time, for financial reasons, Figueroa thought he would have to give up working for the Assemblywoman. But she saw potential in the young man that he hadn't seen in himself, and she was able to help him secure more funding. Today, Figueroa is a lawyer and the legislative director for the Board of Legislators in Westchester County. His life was transformed by now Senator Mayer. Senator Mayer is a mentor to many others like Figueroa, as well as a connector and a confidant. The Honorable Karen Beltran, a city court judge in Yonkers, was active in the city's PTA when Mayer was serving in the Assembly. Judge Beltran was impressed by Mayer's grasp of education issues, and the two soon became friends. Senator Mayer is now chair of the Senate Education Committee. Judge Beltran says her friend's encouragement helped her to win election to city court. She also says whenever she has been weighing career decisions, Senator Mayer is the person she turns to for advice, and the senator is always available to take her call. One of the senator's colleagues is State Senator Tim Kennedy of Buffalo. Kennedy calls her an extraordinary individual, as a leader, a friend, and an advocate. While Senator Kennedy was unable to join us this evening, he sent the following video to congratulate his friend and colleague.
I'd like to say a few words about my colleague and dear friend, Senator Shelley Mayer. To know Shelley Mayer is to love Shelley Mayer. I've had the privilege of knowing Shelley for over 13 years as she went out of her way to help me get elected and get my first start in state government. Since I've gotten to the Senate, I've watched Shelley lead in so many ways, both publicly and behind the scenes. She's a dignified, passionate, thoughtful, and brilliant voice in our Democratic conference. She advocates fiercely for New Yorkers, especially for our students and teachers in her role as chair of the Education Committee. She's someone you can count on. As a dedicated public servant, she's someone with a steady hand and institutional knowledge and prides herself as a kind and caring listener. She's a helper at her core, and she's got a heart of gold. Above all, she's a genuine and dependable friend. Perhaps as important as anything else, she's a Buffalo Bills fan. I know how meaningful tonight is to her. She often talks about her days at UB with great fondness. It is, after all, where she met her husband. Like so many, she's so proud to be part of the UB family, and in the New York State Legislature, we're proud she's part of ours. So tonight, I send my sincere congratulations to Senator Shelley Mayer and all of tonight's honorees on this well-deserved recognition.
Senator Sean Ryan, who I know is right over here. Senator Ryan has also served with Shelley both in the Senate and in the Assembly. Senator Ryan is impressed with Mayer's commitment to public service, what he calls her ability to take her training as a lawyer and apply it to matters of state. When Mayer speaks in the Senate, Ryan says, people listen because they know she has done her research and is able to explain why things work the way they do. It's one of her gifts as a legislator. In recognition of her many talents in passionately serving the public, we proudly present the Distinguished Alumni Award for commitment to public service to Senator Shelley Mayer.
Thank you all. Thank you to my friends and family, to my colleague, Senator Sean Ryan, and my husband, Lee Smith, who I met at UB Law School. And to all of you, thank you, and to my fellow honorees, congratulations. I'm in very distinguished company. Thank you.
The award for community service is presented this evening to Ann E. Joint. Partner in the Buffalo office of Lipsitz, Pontario, and Comerford. In her oral history interview, Ann spoke about the importance of getting involved in the community with projects that you care about.
I think it is so important for students coming out of law school to get involved in the community. And it's actually really easy from my perspective. I think you find something that you care about. I think it is so much easier to get actively involved if it is something that you really organically pay attention to and want to improve and like to be involved with. For me, like my first step towards getting involved was through UB, through the Gold Group. But then that was quickly followed by the Women's Bar Association, the Minority Bar Foundation, the Bar Association of Erie County. Like it all kind of fed into other things. And I will say that I have never been involved with an organization about which I did not care deeply. And that makes it so much easier to donate the time and to give the resources that I have to make those commitments work.
The remarks say that it may be the case that Ann Joint needs no introduction, but Ann Joint needs no introduction. If you are part of the legal community in Buffalo, you do know Ann Joint. You probably know her, and you do know her. Warm, effervescent, magnetic, funny, passionate, supportive. And these are just some of the words that are used to describe Ann by her friends and her colleagues. She embodies the values that UB School of Law holds dear: inclusion, compassion, access, and generosity. John Comerford is a senior partner at Lipsitz, Pontario, and Comerford, the firm that's employed Ann since 2005. His firm hired Ann when she was a third-year law student and she had not yet passed the bar. We took a chance, Comerford says. She was very young, but she was so great in her interview. Just warm, funny, and eager to jump in. 18 years later, Ann has become an integral part of the firm and of the Buffalo legal community. Ann is passionate about helping others, whether standing up for disadvantaged groups in the courtroom or through her active membership in so many organizations. She is the past president of the Gold Group, Law Alumni Association, and she currently serves on the Deeds Advisory Council. She is a fixture at the law school. She serves as a mentor and a lending, helping hand to students. Outside of the law, she serves on community boards such as Girls on the Run, the Western New York Women's Foundation, the National Federation for Just Communities, and so many others, extending her time and her talent to the community at large. Judge Lenora Foote Beavers of Buffalo City Court met Ann through the local chapter of the Women's Bar Association in the mid-2000s, one of the many organizations of which Ann was president. They have been close friends ever since. When Judge Foote Beavers' mother passed away in 2019, Ann showed up with arms full of food and drink for the judge's family and sat with them for 2 whole days, providing emotional support. And when the judge wins a legal honor or award, Ann always shows up again, bringing a bouquet of flowers. Ann is always there to lift up others, Judge Foote Beavers says. And that is a sentiment that's echoed by Ann Ivanko, special counsel at Hurwitz Fine. Ivanko is a co-founder of the Western New York chapter of the Women's Bar Association. She says Ann likes to celebrate other women's successes. As Ivanko put it, women should know that other women are supporting them. One of Ann's superpowers is her ability to connect people. She will happily let her worlds collide by introducing friends, colleagues, or acquaintances to one another. Comerford says whenever he walks into a social gathering that includes Ann, it's safe to assume that she knows everyone in the room. And they know her. In Comerford's words, Ann works really hard to make everyone around her feel welcome and important. Now, I can personally attest to Ann's ability to connect people. Ann Joint was responsible for bringing Council Press on as a sponsor to the law school. It started with the Gold Group. I think she said to me, you should be a sponsor for the Gold Group. And we did, and then that grew into many other sponsorships with the law school. We have been sponsors ever since that, but Ann was the one who first made the connection. The Honorable David Edmonds Jr., a former Buffalo City Court judge, got to know Ann when they served on the board of the Minority Bar Foundation of Western New York. Judge Edmonds says Ann impressed him as a board member by rolling up her sleeves and doing the nitty-gritty work to make a difference. In the judge's words, she works hard and brings people together like very few people I know. Neil Pulowski is an attorney in Buffalo and one of Ann's closest friends. He marvels at the fact that in addition to her workload as a lawyer and her involvement in multiple civic groups and legal associations, she always makes time to stay in close touch with her family, her friends, and so many organizations in the community to which she devotes so much of her time. In honor of her extraordinary ability to bring people together in service of others, we are proud to celebrate Ann Joint with the Distinguished Alumna Award for her contributions to the betterment of our community. We are also presenting the award tonight for exemplary business achievement to Mark Alpert. Senior Vice President, General Counsel, and Corporate Secretary for Lowe's Corporation, headquartered in New York City. When interviewed, Mark spoke about how he helps law students and young graduates break into big law.
I have a lot of really good contacts at my age at many of the big law firms in the city. And so what I do is I open up my contacts to deserving students. Now, they clearly have to have good grades. Unfortunately, that's just the price of admission to big law these days. It always was. But, most of the people that I work with are hungry to come to New York big law. They want the experience, whether they want to do it for their life or just, as 3 or 4 years to get that great education and then go somewhere else. I don't judge, or it doesn't matter to me. I help them with their interviews. I help them with their resumes. And I got to tell you, when they get jobs, I'm just as happy as they are. It's very rewarding. And I've asked them all, I asked them one favor after they get their job. And I said, when you're a fancy lawyer at this big law firm, pay it forward. When you get a call from a UB student, take the call, mentor them, help them. And they all enthusiastically agree to that.
To understand Mark Alpert's effect on people, I will start with a story from Jim Tisch, who is the president and CEO of Lowe's Corporation in New York. Tisch says that when he came back from lunch one day about 7 years ago, Mark was waiting in his outer office for their 2 o'clock interview. I said hello to him then, went into my office for a minute, Tisch remembers. I said to myself, I like this guy. It was just the gleam in his eye and his voice. He won the interview before the interview started. Mark got the job and has been reporting to Tisch ever since. Tisch says Mark is everything you want from a general counsel. When the company was involved in litigation, Tisch said Mark would read the briefs 5, 6, 7 times, and then come back and read them another 5, 6, and 7 times. He was fully invested in the litigation, unlike anything I've ever seen. Mike Bless, who's a former investment banker who sits on the board of CNA Financial Corporation, is a longtime friend of Mark who has crossed paths with him many times professionally. He says Mark taught him how to read a contract like a lawyer, in great detail, rather than like a banker trying to rush things. He also admires his friend's unflappable personality. I have seen Mark in the thick of battle, and I've never met somebody who is more calm and rational. You could set Mark's hair on fire, and he would just calmly continue to argue his case. His demeanor also impressed another business associate. Dino Robusto is chairman and CEO of CNA, an affiliate of Lowe's. Robusto says Mark has the ability to be assertive without coming across as aggressive. He knows how to balance that assertiveness, and he exudes integrity, Robusto says. Mark grew up in modest circumstances in the Canarsie section of Brooklyn. He developed a very strong work ethic early on. When Mark was 13, he had 2 newspaper routes, delivering the New York Times in the morning and the New York Post in the afternoon. Frustrated, though, that he wasn't earning enough, Mark borrowed his brother's working papers and got a job at Carvel selling ice cream. It was the first in a long line of jobs. Mark met his wife, Linda, when they were students at Hofstra University. Linda says that they dated between Mark's work shifts. Now, 37 years after earning his law degree at UB, Mark is always finding ways to give back. Kara Ryzak, a UB Law School student who is also pursuing her MBA at the university, is one of the students who is grateful for Mark's generosity as a mentor. Mark checks in with Ryzek often when she applies for jobs, writes a resume or cover letter, or prepares for an interview. Most of the time when you email someone to network, they just kind of pass you off to someone else without doing very much, Ryzek says. Mark was the opposite of that. He made it his mission to help me get a job in New York City. And that mission was successful, Ryzek says. Mark's help was life-changing for her. It really inspires me to pay it forward and to help others in the future, she says. For his exceptional achievements in business and his commitment to opening career pathways for others, it's my pleasure to present Mark Alpert with the Distinguished Alumnus Award for his exemplary performance in business.
Our last award this evening goes to a non-alumnus, the Honorable Elizabeth Wolford. And I'll be honest with you, I asked to do this presentation because a number of years ago, Judge Wolford and I were on the opposite side of an employment case. And if ever an adversarial situation could be pleasant, it was. Very professional, and I've never forgotten that. When she took the bench, I was very happy with her appointment because I knew I had a great experience and I knew she'd be a great judge. So tonight we present the award to Judge Wolford, Chief United States District Judge for the Western District of New York, for her significant impact on our legal community as a non-alumna. In her oral history interview, Judge Wolford talks about her close relationship with the law school.
From everything I've seen, I think that the law school does a terrific job of not just educating attorneys to be, but also providing real hands-on critical tools that help them become good lawyers. There's a lot of clinics that the law school has. In fact, the PSAP program that we have, the Pro Se Assistance Program that the court operates, we would not be able to operate it without the assistance of UB Law School and students. And it's those types of programs that I think, you know, it's one thing to just give the education or have the lectures in the class, and those are important, no question about it. But it's also important to teach attorneys to be what it means to actually be an attorney and how you go about doing that. And I think UB does a terrific job of that.
Michael Wolford laughs when telling a story about his daughter, Judge Elizabeth Wolford. Liz, he says, was in the drama club at Fairpoint High School near Rochester. One of her classmates had the lead in their production of Death of a Salesman. At the time, Dustin Hoffman was starring as Willie Loman on Broadway. Her classmate took a trip to New York City to study Hoffman's portrayal. Does he really think he's going to be a professional actor someday? Wolford said to her dad. The young man's name was Philip Seymour Hoffman, one of the great actors of his generation. Fortunately, Judge Wolford does not work as a talent scout, but she's a major talent in our legal community. Judge Wolford is the Chief United States District Judge for the Western District of New York and the first woman to hold that post. Her friends and colleagues know Judge Wolford for her intellectual rigor as well as her winning way with people. The Honorable Marion Payson is a federal magistrate judge for the Western District. She met the future Judge Wolford in 1997 after Payson moved to Rochester. Judge Payson attended a Women's Bar Association meeting at which she thought they would discuss a continuing education course. Instead, the meeting was to plan a rock climbing event. Judge Payson never did make it to the rock wall, but she met Wolford at that meeting, and it was the start of a friendship that's now at 26 years and counting. Judge Payson says her friend has a prodigious work ethic and the ability to support the careers of others while letting the spotlight shine on them. When Judge Wolford graduated from Notre Dame Law School in 1992, her father, a veteran attorney, says he lured his daughter back to Rochester by forming their own practice, the Wolford Law Firm, LLP. Michael says his daughter was one of the hardest working attorneys he'd ever dealt with. When President Obama nominated her for district court in 2013, it left a big hole at the family firm, her dad says. The firm's loss was the Western District's gain. Western District Judge Lawrence Villardo calls Judge Wolford his go-to person when he needs to sound out a difficult issue. Judge Wolford, he says, is a fabulous judge, but even a better person and a leader. She's the whole package. Mary Lowenguth is the chief clerk for the Western District. She sees Judge Wolford on top of her game in the courthouse and always willing to implement new initiatives as an administrator. The Western District Court has staff working in both Rochester and Buffalo. One of their team-building activities is holding an annual chili cook-off. Lowenguth says there is always plenty of smack talk between the contestants in the weeks leading up to the cook-off, and Judge Wolford can dish out the smack as well as the chili. Now, there's perks to being a chief judge. Everyone laughs at your jokes. When you walk in the courtroom, all rise. But that didn't help Judge Wolford in the cook-off, where the chili entries are judged blindly. For all the good-hearted boasting, Judge Wolford has yet to win the cook-off. No one who works for the district court, and neither will we, hold that against her. For her remarkable career and her commitment to civility, I'm proud to present the award for outstanding service to the university and to the community by Elan alumna to the Honorable Elizabeth Wolford.
So one last round of applause for our honorees tonight. I'd also like to thank all of our sponsors and most importantly everyone in this room for attending and supporting the law school. It's extremely important for us to be able to continue to do this on an annual basis. So with that, it's my privilege to say this concludes this evening's event, and have a great evening.